Hello everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and today I would like to share with you guys my final thoughts on the full tie crossbar lock variation of the Migron Knives Mayoral. This on paper sounds like an incredible piece. It does, it definitely does. I mean, a 14C28 blade material, full tie construction, T8 body screws all over the place for ease of disassembly and just trying to satisfy all those first world problems, right? But I'm here to tell you that this is not gonna be a good review. I'm not happy with this. I'm not a happy customer. And I've handled plenty of stuff from Migron Knives to know what to expect, and this absolutely let me down. So if you want to stick around and just hear what I have to say about this, the main thing is the tension of the Omega springs and their execution of the lock, the tension from factory, and the design of the blade overall, I guess proportions wise and just shapes and things like that for safety purposes, as well as the clip. And the clip on most knives, I mean 99.999% of knives, I don't complain about the clip. So let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Start with some medium ones. We don't need to get too big with it. This is the Pyrite Light by CGRB, the website exclusive. It is damn near the same tip to tail. Love how that one looks. Little shorty right here. This is Spyderco Native 5 with some oil on it from when I was using it last. This is a Free Tiger model FT2103, a wonderful little budget knife with, may I add, extra robust Omega springs. Love the springs on this budget knife. The Civivi Vision FG, a incredible value knife. It is a little bit longer than the Mayoral from tip to tail. The amount of usable blade length, you get a little bit more, about a third of an inch of more usable blade length. Same amount of finger room and space, both very comfortable in hand. CMB main knives Predator, the Spyderco Manix 2 lightweight. Let's get down to this thing. So this is about, I want to say 65 to 70 bucks. Not bad. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, on paper this thing sounds like a freaking steal. It really does. There are only two variations of this. There is a bead blasted, or excuse me, a stonewash blade with matching hardware and a black coated scale, or scales, right? Or this version where it's all gray PVD, except for the hardware, satin finish hardware. So you get a gray PVD coated blade, as well as these scales, which I don't understand why. The clip, same thing applied. Little back spacer, same thing. A comment that I had made about coating the scales, to me, and I know there are a lot of other people that definitely think the same way, but when you see titanium scales that are nice and simple, you start thinking about what can you do to modify it. I'm talking anodizing, changing different colors, do rainbow, do splatter. You know, you can take a Dremel to it and just have a field day with something as simple as this profile overall, right? But you can't do that because there's a coating, and the company paid for that coating to be applied. So I personally feel, and this is just a preference and subjective, it has nothing to do with the functionality and the quality of the blade, but me personally, I think the company would have been better off and possibly have saved themselves some money. Hey, charge me the same. Go ahead and charge me the same. Save you guys yourselves some money and don't apply the PVD on everything from down here below. And just leave it up to the consumer to do whatever the hell they want with it. This is supposed to be falling into the awkward category of a premium budget knife. But when it comes to the handle, it's just me. I feel like they could have just done a stone washing or a bead blast and just called it a day. Doing a bead blast or stone washing, what I've seen, the tumbling process, Stonewashing and bead blast hides a lot of the imperfections. And you also get the result of a beautiful crystallish-like pattern, right? I have an example of some stonewashed titanium. This is my MSI from Original Goat. I forget the official finish that's applied here, but it's just a stonewash. And as you can see, it's beautiful. A little difficult to tell because of the gunstock milling here, but there are these little scratches all over, placed organically and beautifully all across the body to hide possible machining imperfections. With that being said, the machines do the work for you. You leave it in the tumbler for a little while, you rinse it off, you put it into the next one to put the final polish on it, slap the knife together, ship it off to the US, right? But with this, there's extra steps that need to be taken that I would think would cost more. Thinking about it that same way, then why do some companies think that they can charge more for a PVD coating? Let's say that this was offered in a just bead blasted raw titanium handle, but then they offered this PVD coating. Guaranteed the PVD coated one, they would charge a little bit more for, as well as a lot of other companies that do the same exact thing. And then I get the damn thing and I find out that it's a PVD coated scale. So I gotta strip it with harsh chemicals or do a lot of manual sanding because I don't have a proper sanding machine. Boo-hoo for me, yeah, whatever, not a big deal. But when it comes to the clip, well, they went cheap. They went soft on the clip. Migron offers like 3 different styles of mill titanium clip, and they decided to throw this garbage on it. Now, functionally speaking, it's fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. But if it's going to fit, if you're trying to deliver something that fits into that little space between premium and budget, you want to pull out the things that you're kind of known for. Migron knives first started out with putting titanium pivot collars, titanium pocket clips, damn near all titanium construction and T8 hardware, and that's what they started, and that's what they're known for. All of, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks, you can buy the milled tie pocket clip in their stonewashed tie finish that also has T8 screws. And what you get here is a clip that creates a hot spot further back as you're holding it, T6, and it's just, I get it. It is deep carry versus the other one. It's not deep carry. It sticks out maybe like this much, but not that big of a deal. So long story short, they should have already put a matching tie pocket clip on here. And even if they did apply the PVD coating to said tie pocket clip, there would have been less for me to complain about, I suppose, because like I said, I typically don't complain about hot spots or ergonomics too often. I have large to extra large size hands, but I have slim fingers, so I don't typically run into a lot of ergonomic restraint issues, you know. I don't ever have a lot of problems with that kind of stuff. I'm not just complaining just to complain just because I've heard other people complain. I'm going to talk about the things that I value and complain about those things. So the tie pocket clip thing, it should have been on here. If they wanted to charge an extra 10 bucks to make up the difference, sure, why not? This would have still been under $100 offering, and I'm sure a lot of people would still enjoy it. I know I'm just a picky bastard. So next thing that we get into, right? And this is the same thing with the other budget crossbar lock variation that I tested, as well as the first edition of the liner lock variation. The design of the blade to handle, the ratio is off, as is, right? And a lot of people did complain about that. Me personally, I don't really care for it too much because I do enjoy the look of it opened and closed. I think it's an attractive looking knife and incredible to use. You know, for slicing purposes and getting to the tip. The tip is a little higher than I would prefer for utility kind of scoring tests, but I'm not in that line of work anymore where I require a super low utility style bladed, low tip and all that. The blade itself, as it sits into the handle, the tip is right there. It's literally right freaking there. I did just trim my nails, but I was able to like pick it out. Let's see if I can get it with my skin. I feel it. Yeah, I can feel it there a little bit, but it's just, it is right freaking there, and I could actually feel it snagging on my skin here on the tip of my finger. I'm not a fan of that, and that's more for safety purposes. Now, it's a long shot. It really is for that little design part right there to ever, I don't want to say fail, but cause any problem. It's a very, very low chance, but the chance is still there, especially if you own this knife for a while, you use it, let's say it's one of your favorite knives or it was gifted to you, and you sharpen it and sharpen it and sharpen it, and you remove so much blade material, or let's say you use this thing so much, you actually chip the blade, you chip the tip off, and you gotta reprofile it, and you gotta bring the actual live edge further up and, you know, back, and you expose that live edge further and further, then that's what it becomes a danger. So this, in my opinion, is kind of a poorly designed knife overall when it comes to the blade and how far down it's tucked in. And this is something that could have very easily been prevented through CQI. Is it CQI? Constant quality improvement, whatever that term is. QCI, CQI, whatever that term, right? You guys know what I mean. There were other people that addressed the concern of that tip being so out there and exposed. The company doesn't care. Clearly, they're not getting the message. They're not wanting to make something that is actually going to be utilized for a long time. And that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Maybe that isn't actually what's going on. Maybe they just don't know. But this is an overseas Chinese production company. They're there to make money. They're there to sell new models, the latest and greatest, right? So if they make a flop on one design, boohoo, whatever, by the time Christmas and the holidays roll around, they'll discount them, sell them, even at a high discount. They're still making profit anyway. And then they're at the same time releasing new variations and models. But when it comes to releasing new variations of something, why not add a little bit of improvement? You can't just bump up the materials and expect, you know, the little nitpicky problems just to disappear. So it's not just me. There were other people that mentioned the, you know, possible safety concern about the tip being so out there and not tucked further into the scale. I mean, they could have brought the scale material a little bit larger, or just made the blade length a tad bit longer and rolled it down a little bit further to tuck that tip further down. But they didn't do that because either they just don't know or they really just do not give a crap. Either or, I wouldn't know. Last thing to get into, and the biggest thing, the one that rubs me the wrong way, probably the hardest, is their execution of their crossbar lock. It is very unsatisfying. It is mushy. It is just, it's not good. It's very unsatisfying. But wait, isn't there a super easy, quick fix to tension adjustment? Yeah, there is. And a lot of other companies are doing it. Is adding extra holes for the Omega Spring tension. Now, could that be a patent thing? Possibly. Take Kaiser, for example. Kaiser has their clutch lock. They have patented their lock, the clutch lock. It is a crossbar styled lock that utilizes Omega Springs that has 5 different tension settings. That is awesome. They are leading the industry when it comes to crossbar lock innovation. Benchmade could have never, right? So yeah, sure. Let's say Kaiser did patent that. They have the 5 tension settings. You can do whatever you want with. If you want it really light, let's say you have, you know, lack of dexterity or just, you know, weak hands or whatever, not coming down on anybody. But let's just say that that's your situation. Sure, having a lighter tension knife for deployment purposes, it's nice because you're able to open it out, deploy it easily without putting stress and strain on your hand. And especially if you are a fidgeter like me, that's another argument too. A lot of people say, well, this is a cutting tool, son. You're not supposed to fidget. It's not a toy. Get your shit together. Stop playing with knives. All right, fair. But when you think about it, these knives are very fidgety and they are very friendly to use for the most part, especially when you offer a design to allow for tension setting. So if you want really snappy, aggressive crossbar locking, strength and lockup in action and overall, and you just want to have a little bit more confidence, you want to hear and feel that engagement, that snap as the bar hits the back of the blade, right? It's a good, satisfying feeling. You can't get that with this because there's only one tension setting. So, sure, there's the argument that Kaiser has 5, but what about a company like Concept? They have 4. You see the little holes in there? They have 4 holes. Did they patent that? No. They're not calling it anything specific. They just did it. They didn't ask for permission from Kaiser. Hey, Kaiser, I know you guys are doing 5. Is it all right if I do 4? Kaiser wouldn't care. These are Chinese companies competing with Chinese companies. They don't care. They're here to make money. You have Kubi, right? These guys, 3 holes. Did Kubi go, hey, Concept, Kaiser, you guys are doing the multi-hole thing. Do you mind if I tag along? They don't care. There's no permission that needs to be asked. Here's CJRB. 2 holes. It's better than 1. There is options. Having options that don't cost the company any time, any extra materials or anything to just tap 2 little holes just to give their customer or their audience, their fans, more variety and more adjustability to continue using and loving their designs. So it really does rub me the wrong way that these 3 examples of other manufacturers in the same game competing for the same market space care enough to do that, but Miguron doesn't. So before I forget, I wanted to mention that functionally speaking, this knife is fine for the most part, but the lockup has, some to be desired. So I've put skiffs, thick washers, and their cage bearings in here, and even cranking down the pivot, I still get easy side to side. I hate that. Up and down, it's solid, it's beautiful, and that's really all you gotta worry about is the up and down play, because you don't want any kind of slip. But the fact that there's side to side with skiffs, that's just bad. Even skiffs can't fix this knife. That's saying something. It's great for them that they're expanding on the model. This is basically like Miguron's Civivi Elementum. That's what this is to them. But I just feel like they dropped the ball. And somehow Civivi is continuing to make new variations of the Elementum that absolutely blow the last variation out of the water. And it makes you want to buy the newest variation of the Elementum, the Civivi Elementum. With this, I'm good. I think if I can go back, I would much rather have the liner lock variation than this at all. Like, this is something that you can, just with the little whip. And I don't have much room between, my surface here and my phone. So just with a little whip, it just falls out. It's embarrassing. That's what this thing is. It's an absolute embarrassment. This is what it is. I'm coming from a actual user perspective, a collector, again, a user, an enthusiast, whatever you want to call me. I don't have anything against Miguron. I love their quality of production, but when it comes to the crossbar lock, I think it just doesn't do anything for me. Kind of the same thing as Kunwu knives. Kunwu makes incredibly beautiful knives, but I'm good. I'll stick with their frame locks and inset liner locks. Their crossbar locks, they just don't do it for me. Their blades have so much mass, it kills the pivot system and takes over with the weight and mass and inertia and whatever, and it just kind of makes the whole thing just feel floppy. It's like a sad freaking wiener. That's what it feels like. So that's it. If you guys like this video, found it educational, enjoyable by any means, go ahead and leave a like down below. If you are subscribed already, thank you so much. I appreciate all your support and your patience, of course. If you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing, because I play more videos and content coming your guys' way. And with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.